a piece that actuates the aileron on the wing. Now, we could only find one, and it was tough shape, and it was rusted, corroded and such, and it was really a matter of trying to save it. Well, we did save it. We replaced a few odds and ends of pieces on it, but we still only had one, and it takes one for each side. We rebuilt and remade from scratch a second one. Anyone here want to guess which one would be the original and which one is the remake?
It's the original.
Well, you were close.
You were close.
Now, you can tell by raising. Notice how much heavier one is than the other. The heavy one is the original.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. But in any event, so. Underneath here are the ailerons on the wings. The ailerons are 15 feet long. They start there and go way down almost to where the fuselage section starts. The ailerons are as long as the wing of a Piper Cub. A Cub's span is 36 feet. And by the time you add the width of the fuselage and such, why the ailerons are alone, are as long as the wing. Again, notice, no strategic materials can be used. Notice how everything is attached by casing. You can't weld aluminum. Everything has to be taped. By the way, this section of the vertical fin, notice how much darker color than it is from the rest of it. That is an original. We've had to build the rest, but that is original. Now our plant, oh, I got to tell you. Today, to duplicate those micarta pulleys, there are roughly 3 sizes of pulley in this glider. Big one, small one, and an in-between one. In today's market, to duplicate the World War II micarta pulleys, $13 a piece, $6 a piece, the middle one, $9 a piece. I stopped counting. I stopped counting at 140 pulleys. At $13, $9, and $6. Oh, I could put in modern, but to duplicate the World War II micarta pulleys. Because there's a guy out there that's going to say, hey, you've substituted the wrong pulley. This aircraft is everything exactly. Look at the tying together. Unbelievable. We've got one volunteer, any of you know who Marilyn is, that just does nothing but take on these projects that no one else wants to do. She varnished all those damn ribs. I mean, piece at a time. Took her months.
How many people are working as volunteers?
There's a total of 8 of us.
8?
Yeah. I think it's... They're not all necessarily here at the same time, but in most cases they are. We work Tuesdays and Fridays. Well, I think I've covered most of what... Now I'll take questions if I can answer it.
What is the woodworking done with the Villaume machinery?
No,
or?
We do our own machinery. We've got our own machinery. Our woodworkers have their own stuff. The only thing Villaume furnishes is the space, and the heat, and the electricity.
Yeah.
And thank God, because if it wasn't for that, we'd have nothing.
Yeah.
But no, we furnish our own material.
Are those original blueprints or those copies?
Well, no, they're copies. Yeah.
I can't remember if you gave the quote, Germans referring to the U.S.'s answer to kamikaze.
No, that was the Americans. That was the U.S. Air Force that referred to the CE-4 as America's answer to the kamikaze. Yeah.
So is this canvas going to, or I guess it's linen, isn't it?
Yeah, the fabric, yeah.
Is that going to be expensive?
We're thinking in terms, we've just been donated $5,000 from the Air Force Association.
Okay.
So we're thinking in terms of covering half the glider. One wing, tail assembly and such. The reason being is that once it's covered with fabric, it's nothing but a box. Fabric box.
Yeah.
And you can't see the beautiful intricacy and the woodwork and everything that went into these things. The cables and how they were put together and everything in those days. So we're thinking in terms of just covering half the glider, one wing, half the tail assembly, and I don't know, maybe half the fuselage or something. But we want to leave it so it's mostly open for inspection. And of course, in the two existing gliders at the Air Force Museum, that hangs from the ceiling to make sure no one gets a close look at it. The one that the glider pilots have a big fence around it so that there's no way you can get inside. But we want this thing to be able to be examined, you know, and as soon as we cover it, then there's the asshole that comes along and wants to see how strong the fabric is. And whenever you see aircraft in museums that are fabric covered, you look and see all the holes or patched holes and paint that doesn't match. So, you know, and if it's going to be examined, then we've got to leave. We've got to leave it uncovered.
Well, this will never fly.
Well, it wouldn't fly anyway because the FAA would never approve any of this. They would never approve any of it.
The Germans had some gliders, didn't they?
They started. They're the ones that started. Yeah, they're the.
Where did they use it?
Well, you know, all through the 30s, the Treaty of Versailles said that Germany could not produce any military air power. So they had to train their commercial pilots, their civilian pilots, in glider. And so the program fit in perfectly when they rearmed. So in the 30s, all the pilots learned to fly on the glider. In the 40s, they had primary airplanes, engine-powered airplanes that they learned. But in the 30s,
they used them for military landing.
The Germans?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they were the ones that developed it. They're the ones that this all started from.
Where did they use them to invade?
The first one was Villaume in Belgium, across the Belgian frontier, with 8 gliders carrying a total of 72 men. They took the entire fort that the German High Command had guesstimated that it would take 600 fully equipped infantrymen 30 days just to break in. And here the gliders landed on top, and in 20 minutes they broke it in. Then in the island of Crete, the Germans used gliders. That was the last large-scale operation of the gliders because there they took 30% loss because they took the island during the day, and the British had time to see them coming and prepare. But it was Hitler's decision at that. You know, Hitler was the one that decided to use the glider, and he was the one that decided to discontinue the use of the gliders from large-scale to just small-scale operations. So, but in this country, we didn't know that the Germans had given up on the gliders. We said, my God, what a tremendous idea! Bring troops in at no cost.
The question, is this the same as that?
That is the CG-4. That's the same glider.
It looks different to me.
Well, it's not covered. No, that is the same glider. That's the CG-4. Yep. Yeah, you take a close look. See the sliding windows? See the pitot tube assembly on the top? Look at the skids, the landing gear and everything. That is exactly the same glider.
Did you fly these things?
No way.
I had a ride through it twice. That was more than enough.
Yeah.
Can I see your picture?
The Russians, I don't think ever developed really any gliders, but they
Well, men were expendable.
no, so parachutes, they use hay bales. Took guys out of low-level missions out of airplanes.
I did tell you that landing gear is marked Northwestern Aeronautics. That tire has the World War II air in it.
You might have said this at the beginning, but I wasn't out there. This airplane.
The entire frame is original, yeah, but it's got loads of pieces welded in from other. You know, this airframe is built out of about 6 airframes. cutting out the various ones to fit in and everything. Puzzle, you know, because so much of it was corroded and rotted away after all the years. So yeah, this is an original airframe, but it was not original in one piece.
You had to reconstruct.
As a matter of fact, these gliders went into 5 boxes. The entire glider fit in 5 boxes. The tail assembly was one, but you'll notice section of the glider ends right here.
Oh yeah.
And then there's another section that goes up to the nose. Now that's why this has wood at the beginning and at the end of both sections, because when they're going to come apart, the fabric has got to be able, it can't run from one to the other, it's got to end.
They did something like that in World War I too, with those biplanes.
This was for the safety belts in the infantry. Now you notice that it's all held together with tape. The infantrymen were strapped in with electrical tape. You think, my God, I'm safe with this. Not when you look at how it's attached. See, it's all, everything is all tape. And again, all the artillery vehicles or anything, these seats came out, and that was all attached on these big rings that are at every longeron, every bulkhead. And then the wing strut will attach here. This one, Northwestern Aeronautics. So we are very proud. We've got the brake system all hooked up for this landing gear. We do not have it all hooked up for the other one yet. We've got the line coming down, but we don't have it to the brake yet. But this thing, the brakes will be operable. Virtually everything will be operable. It will be a flyable glider, except the FAA would never license it because of the standards that were used at the time. Wing attach bolts.